everyone, and welcome to this roundtable, this panel in the context of the GLTH Day warm-up week, in the context also of the Glaw Festival. And thank you for inviting us in this regional table where we're going to talk a little bit about the perspectives of how Latin America is advancing in legal tech. I am Janet Huerta. I am director and founder of Abogado Digital, which is a consultancy in legal transformation and legal operations, and we're based in Mexico with clients also in Latin America. And I am going to be moderating this panel, which is a real honor for me. Thank you all for being here, for being interested in this regional table. And I have three amazing panelists today that it's really an honor to be here with them, leaders of legal tech in Latin America. I'm going to introduce them briefly so we can start sharing all the knowledge and practice that they have. The first panelist is María Silva, and she is from Chile. She is legal VP at Webdox, which is, well, one of the leading CLM companies in Latin America. She's also director of the Legal KPIs chapter for Chile and South America, and member of the public affairs team at ALTA, which is the Legal Tech Association in Chile. And we also have a corporate in-house counsel, Nicolás Panigutti from Argentina. He is a legal project manager in the global legal transformation team at Banco Santander. He's based in Madrid, and his current role is dedicated to legal transformation, the adoption of AI, and legal tech strategy. And we also have from Argentina, Raquel, who is Chief Administrative and Legal Officer at Legalify and partner at abogados.com.ar, also two of the leading legal techs in Argentina. So thank you all three for being here with us.
Thank you, Janet, for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
So, well, let's start. We basically want to know, first off, what is your opinion of, well, first in your country, right? I think that Chile and Argentina, which are basically the countries represented here, well, for sure, are one of the most countries in legal tech in Latin America. So it's great to have your perspective. So, María, if you want to start, if you want to share a little bit with us, what is the status of legal tech in Chile at this moment? And also, how do you perceive the advancement of legal tech, legal innovation in Latin America?
Well, thank you for the invitation. And yes, I'm happy to share what is happening here in Chile. Actually, I'm very happy because I can see how this is growing. We see an interesting increase in the interest, not only in big companies or companies to change their normal services portfolio. You also see a lot of entrepreneurs thinking in new solutions to start building this legal tech ecosystem. As part of ALTA, I have seen all the new innovation companies that are growing and proposing new solutions to different problems. So what I see is a constant increase of companies and services among the Latam and in the region. So I believe that this is not going to stop. In fact, I have the opportunity to be part of a course last week of innovation and legal operation, and I see that many people that is already in-house is thinking on new projects and thinking in order to build their own companies and start some developments. It was funny because the people can choose in order to create a process or a project in their companies, and everybody of the different groups decided to build a company. So there you see there is hunger to make innovation, to make new things. So I believe this is something that is only starting.
And María, I want to ask you a question. Do you think, because what we've seen is when CLMs, I think, are one of the most, let's say, technologies that are most used other than other types of legal technology. Is there a difference between, you now say startups, and then there's, well, the companies, obviously in-house counsels and legal firms, do you see like a difference in stage of advancement depending on where the lawyers are? If
Well,
it's in a law
definitely
firm, in a company, or in a startup?
Yes, I mean, we need to separate maybe, because today CLM is a tool. We need to think about the CLM as a technology. So you need to see that not all technology fits all the scenarios. A CLM for a judge doesn't make sense. So in order to understand where is a good fit for a CLM, definitely in all companies and without exception, will be a good fit for a CLM or a mechanism that allows them to track their contracts. Okay. And having said that, what we see in not only Chile, Webdox is in the region, so we see different developments or different awareness and different also knowledge of technology in the different countries. So it's not the same to start or a project regarding to implement a CLM in Peru, in Colombia, in Chile, because and not only because of the country, sometimes it's because of the different industries we're talking about. So what we see is that every team works different. Every company has their own processes or their own way to do things. So at the end, implementing a CLM is different in every country, every company, every team. However, there is something in common in all of those. If those teams are have a little sense of awareness that they need to have things a little bit tidy before adding the technology, probably they will have a very successful implementation in the CLM. If you think, and that maybe is one of the mistakes, that the technology will solve your problems without trying to face them first, maybe you will see a fail over there.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I would like to go with you, Nico. You come from Argentina, but are now leading a global team. So for sure you have already the experience of the comparison between Latin America and other regions. So how have you experienced, how do you see from the perspective of an in-house counsel that legal technology has advanced in Latin America?
Well, Latin America, particularly in Argentina, I think Legaltech has made remarkable progress in just a few years. Digital signature tools, document management system, contract automation. These are no longer like futuristic concepts. We see that daily for many legal departments. Yet, I think we need to be honest, and most of this progress hasn't come from institutional strategies. I think instead it has been pushed forward by individual lawyers, champions who, despite lacking budget or formal backing, decided to experiment, to innovate, to make things happen, or even some of them as entrepreneurs with their own solutions. If we look back, many Argentine lawyers had their first contact, for example, in Argentina with Lex Doctor, who was a solution for litigators. But it was basic, but at the time it was revolutionary. We moved fast forward to today, and we are working with automated workflows, analytics, even AI-driven tools. I think the pandemic accelerated this transformation, forcing legal teams to modernize. But the regional picture is clear. We lag behind in maturity and structure, yet we excel, I think, in creativity and resilience. Limited resources have forced us to the famous do more with less, and that has become a strength. Still, fragmentation remains like a barrier. It's blocking. Like each country, each firm, each university sometimes seems to reinvent the wheel on its own. And I think, for example, in Argentina, the Legaltech Association, ALTA, is a great example of what's needed. Like spaces where startups, law firms, corporate legal departments, all of them come together and exchange knowledge and build solutions. We need more of these. And here's I think a cultural point we shouldn't ignore is that in law, we grew up like the idea that errors are unacceptable. We've been trained to believe that. And that mindset kills innovation. So I think we need also to embrace the culture of error. And I noticed this, for example, when I moved to Spain, I noticed a difference. For example, European legal departments often benefit from stronger institutional investment and a more established vendor ecosystem. And those are undeniable advantages. But in Latin America, the context is different. Fewer resources, less structure. But rather than saying that one model is better than the other, I see them as complementary strength. Like Europe brings maturity, structure, and Latin America brings adaptability. I think that's like the big difference I see.
Thank you, Nico. That's a good mix. And yeah, I think I like what you say about we need a little bit more like collaboration and not just individual efforts, right? Like just shining there, maybe sometimes an ambassador of innovation that's there in a company. And I do recognize, for example, in your countries, there's a Legaltech association, different to Mexico, where there's no association, no? So one of the also biggest countries in the market, let's say. And I think that is one of the first steps for sure. And I love it also when they told me about the Legaltech Association in Argentina, that it doesn't only associate legal techs, let's say platforms, but like you said, also like lawyers that are in innovation and transformation, and even the judicial power, no? So I think it's super important. I honestly think that is a great model to follow, because this is about just creating an ecosystem, no? And especially in Mexico, we do see that still we miss a lot of awareness that since legal operations and legal tech is not a topic that's yet very impregnated in companies. Sometimes lawyers have pains, but they don't realize that their pain doesn't have to do with a legal expertise issue, but it has to do with an operations process, maybe technology issue, no? So we definitely in Mexico still are lacking a lot of let's say education, because like one lawyer here told me, we don't know what we don't know, right? So it's like well, if we don't know that exists or what we could do with it, well, we don't know we need it, right? So she told me, like, if someone would have told me, oh, what do you need? And she said, I use AI and ChatGPT a lot to do contracts and like that, but if somebody would have come and asked me that's what I needed, I would have never said that, right? So it's definitely an expansion of awareness that this is a legal operations processes. You're a legal project manager, right? So all these new type of people, of practices are needed in the legal teams. So I would like to ask you now. I love to learn through stories, right? Like stories of implementations of cases that. No, sorry, I'm missing Raquel in this question.
No problem.
Sorry,
I would like to. No, it's okay, Janet. Maybe I can yes, tell you about. I am a member of ALTA, the Legaltech Association here in Argentina, and I would like to reinforce the idea that we work with this approach. That we work really hard to promote the change at the legal ecosystem level. So it's justice, lawyers, legal corporate departments, law firms. We all need to work for this change together as a community. Because if we change separately, the results are going to be the ones that we expect. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to add to the idea, and that we work really hard at ALTA to gain these objectives.
Thank you, Raquel. And maybe we can start also with you sharing, if you can share with us what has been your experience about some stories that you have of, let's say, success stories and not horror stories about
yes.
innovation legal tech.
Well, I can share with you an experience I had last year at the company I used to work for. We decided to implement a CLM system, contract life cycle management software, to digitalize and optimize the entire contract management process, from drafting to negotiation and renewal. Technically, the project was a success because it became operational and it was deployed successfully. However, personally and professionally, it was a huge challenge, since it was led without prior technological expertise or team support. This experience pushed me far away from my comfort zone and highlighted the urgent need for legal professionals to develop digital skills. But I would say it was a horror story and a success story at the same time, because it motivated me to learn a lot, to start getting training in technological tools, digital skills that all lawyers need to have. So I remember this experience positively. So yes, I think that what I've learned from this experience is that we as lawyers need to develop additional skills such as technology, business strategy, legal management, legal design, but also we need to strengthen soft skills such as the resistance to change, like Nico was saying, the resistance to be mistaken, to handle setbacks. We need to strengthen our resilience skills to meet the demands of a changing profession. So that was an interesting story.
Thank you. Thanks. And yeah, I think we have seen also in Mexico a lot of stories of implementation that, well, during the implementation, we all learned because there wasn't, like you say, previous training or even sometimes specific people in charge of the project. No, we see a lot in Mexico. It's like, oh, implement something, tell the youngest lawyers that has the digital knowledge, and he's in charge of, he's the one that knows more, so he's in charge of doing it, which fortunately brings opportunity also to many young lawyers, probably like Nico had his opportunity. But María Noé, from your perspective as a legal tech, going to companies, firms, implementing the CLM, what have been your stories, your horror and success stories?
Well, let's go with the horror stories. More than horror stories are more that like little mistakes that you extract from the customers' comments. I have the possibility to share a lot with our customers, so that gives me the possibility to understand how they are doing their things, how they are implementing, and sometimes they are already handling the CLM for a long time, and I like to see, okay, where is the 2.0? What are you doing next? Because sometimes the process that you built, I don't know, 2 years ago, today needs a refresh. So I always take the time to talk to them, and I see some comments that came from what Raquel just mentioned, not to consider the implementation of a CLM as a project, as a company project. Sometimes it's like one flag that is handling by this young lawyer, and also it makes very tough the process, because you need to look for people that support your project. You need to communicate. I remember talking with a customer that said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I did everything. I made the process. I built all the structure. I configured the system. And however, they are not using it. And the first question I mentioned to him was, but did you evangelize your team? Did you have this? We're going to launch this CLM. Let's go. Let's be part of this. Did you make some campaign about this, some marketing? And he said, no, I didn't. Okay, maybe you need to start from there. You need to communicate. So sometimes the horror story are solved with communication, with sharing, not trying to solve or do everything by yourself. You need assistance, you need help, you need to work with other areas. The CLM is not the legal team technology, it's the company project or the company technology. So you need to work with the other areas. I believe some horror story have a simple origin of why that happened. And another that also I remember because it's quite fresh is that I met with this customer in a launch of a book and say, well, how are you going? How things? And they say, you're great. You're booking me meetings all the week in order that we can do this. However, it's me and my team. We don't have time. And it's like, oh, how we make these people that if they dedicate, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours of their week in order to put some energy on this project, maybe in the next month, in the next quarter, they will have everything solved and they will have the time. And that is what connects with the topic of awareness and understand that having to dedicate some time to legal ops can be a great saver later. So those are my horror, but we know the origin stories. And what I wanted to bring is some figures, because normally something that is also part of our education is that we know to say, this work is excellent. This outcome is very good from our stomach with no data, with nothing. So here I bring some numbers to see how our customers have the possibility to share to the board or share to the other areas how they're doing things better. And for example, I have this company from beverage that says that they have the possibility to standardize more than 5,000 contracts and reduce in 40% the time of reviewing them. We have another customer from retail that says that today they have 100 visibility of all the tracking of the contracts, and they reduce in a 30% the operational risks, because part of the operational risks, the overall, not only regarding to contracts. So there you start seeing figures that evidence that implementing a CLM and trying to have quick wins allows you to obtain real efficiency, and at the end of the day show how the legal department are in the companies are doing a great job.
Thank you, Noe. And yeah, I think that I definitely agree with you that worst horror stories that we have also seen is arriving to a company where a technology was bought and it was just not used and just left there because of lack of a post, let's say, implementation plan of people using it, because it's a total change. People are not used to maybe capturing the system, the information, right? So definitely we have seen those horror stories, and the worst part is that they're not open to implementing more because nobody move anything, because we cannot say that this investment was a failure, right? So they're stuck, let's say, with this technology that they're not using. So I think that this plan that you say, people think that, oh, implementing technology, that's it. But this transformation, because it's a whole transformation, a way of working, definitely is, let's say, a medium-term project or objective. So for sure, I definitely concur with those horror stories. We have seen them also. And Nico, can you share with us some of the projects? You're the legal project manager, so for sure you have some interesting ones.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm new at this, so it's a challenge for me. But I think that if I had to choose a horror story, one could be like killing projects when you have to kill the project. That's like an art itself. But if I think of another, it couldn't be one spectacular failure in a legal tech rollout. Instead, it's something quieter, but equally, if not more damaging, that is working in silos. When different teams inside the same legal department run parallel projects without knowing what others are doing, the cost is enormous. Duplicated efforts, wasted resources, missed synergies, and solutions that fail to scale because they were built like in isolation. And the damage of this silent inefficiency can be just as bad or worse than a high-profile failed implementation, like a CLM or another solution. We experienced this with internal consultation management, basically a front door for inside requests. Two teams, unaware of each other's work, were experimenting with Kanban boards to improve workflows, and each was investing time and energy separately. And when we finally realized, the frustration was obvious, like so much effort lost. But once we came together, the project improved a lot. We compared approaches, we combined strength, we co-created a single, stronger solution, and importantly, it was now a shared initiative, not owned by one group or one team inside the legal team, which increased adoption across the department, as Mariana was saying before. And on the other hand, I would say that one success story is related to this, like implementing a ticketing system to handle the legal requests. Our starting point was chaos, like endless emails, no visibility, no data, no way to measure anything. And by adapting, for example, Jira, that's a tool designed for IT, we brought order where there was none. Suddenly, we had dashboards, we had metrics, traceability. Don't think that it was a perfect solution, and not even close to that. In fact, if we look back at that time and we think if that was the best alternative that existed at that moment, I would say definitely not. On the contrary, it was the best alternative we had with the budget zero we had and the deadlines we decided. Sometimes you are not in a position to ask for the best solution, but that success, I don't think it was about Jira itself. It was about collaborating closely with IT, for example, learning to bridge very different working cultures, and strong sponsorship from senior leadership, which gave us the, I would say, the legitimacy and the confidence to move forward. This was a turning point. And I've seen similar patterns in Spain, like projects with bigger budgets, sophisticated tools sometimes fail when they are driven top down without collaboration. Meanwhile, in Latin America, we managed to succeed with almost no resources because collaboration leadership were present. And that's the main thing I will highlight. Like having more resources, it's important, of course, but that does not automatically mean having better results. It's all about mindset, governance, and alignment.
Janet, if you let me just in a few minutes tell you about a full success story to balance a little bit from these horror stories, because in the company I used to work for, from the first experience, we as a company, we could learn our lesson and change our approach. So in the next project we had, that it was to implement an external whistleblower or hotline system as part of our compliance program, allowing employees to report concerns through different channels, web, mail, phone, and the implementation was successful. And this tool not only streamlined the process of receiving and tracking reports, but it also built greater confidence and trust within the organization. As a result, more people felt encouraged to report irregularities and to speak up about the concerns they were facing. And this helped the company identify and address issues in a timely manner as well as to strengthen the culture of compliance and integrity within the company. I think that this is a clear example of how technology can be a vehicle to improve efficiency and foster a culture of ethics, compliance. I mean, this was a clear evidence of how technology can improve and innovate within the company.
Thank you, Raquel. Yeah, we don't only have horror stories, like you say. We only also have.
Obviously.
Thank you.
No.
Yeah, and I would like to take a little bit on what you said, Nico. First of all, I think this basic first step that we have also seen in legal departments is the legal ticketing, right? Like this part of I think one of the greatest challenges that we have as a legal industry is to see ourselves as service providers, right? Because when we arrive to legal departments and we start in the consultancy and we say, okay, what are the services that you give? And like each area of practice, like doesn't know even what is the specific services that they give, right? Because to do a legal ticketing, well, you first need to do what are your services. So I think that's a great first step and project. Like you say, even though if it's not the amazing most technology, sometimes we don't even need a legal tech. We just need to connect our databases, our Excels, make them all systematized, right? And that is a first great step. And the second of the legal ticketing, which is not only understand ourselves as a service, but understand how other inner clients or other people ask for those services to the legal department, right? Like you say, before it was an email or someone told me that they needed a contract in the hallway, right? So having a system to get those service requirements, I think it's a great project. So yeah, I think that is one of the first steps into even understanding what do I have, right? Because we also go into legal departments and say, okay, how many contracts do you manage? Those that don't have a CLM, and many of them don't even know how many contracts they have a month, right? So yeah, go ahead, Noe.
No, I really like this time this topic, and maybe I'm gonna put the conflict in the table. But I think we need to understand that being an in-house is a quite new position in Latin America. Normally, companies used to have this worldwide lawyer that take care of Latam, and they use only law firms to handle some operations. So we're talking that an in-house lawyer is something quite new in the region. We're talking maybe in the 90s, they just started to have the first like in-house lawyers. I remember that when you went to university, and I'm not that young, the only possibility to when you are finishing is like, I'm gonna be a judge, I'm gonna work in a law firm or diplomatic, but the in-house world was not that loud in the ambient, at least in Chile. Maybe Argentina is a little bit more advanced than us. But for example, in the case of universities, that people do internships in enterprise, that is not that common because the internship is for the state after you finish the 5 years of law school. So there is something from the beginning, from the universities, that doesn't help you to develop these skills that are required today. So today, everybody is anti-learning what they learn in the university, and we're getting new knowledge, new skills that allow us to, for example, get a project, understand how to complete it, and completely successfully. So I believe that, and in defense of all the lawyers, it's tough for us because we don't have the days to do it as it's required today. However, it's a very good timing to get into those skills and try to rock it. So I think today is amazing. We can do things different. We have the tools to do it different. People is teaching how to do it differently. So I think it is there. It's not rocket science, it's there, and we need to look for that info to do it better.
That's a really good point, definitely. And that's why this is, for me, it's about transformation, right? Because we're transforming our ways of working, we're transforming even this that you say, like more in-house counsels. Each time the curve of in-house counsels is going up, right? So like you said, interesting that it's something new. So definitely we have to be very compassionate with ourselves, not like just go and judge like, oh, lawyers are super resistant to change, right? Because, well, this is at the end, it's new for us, no? So I thank you for that great point. And well, the next question I want to raise is also around something that Nico said. You said a very important point for this success project was like the leadership. You were supported by the leaders of the legal department, of the organization. And for sure, in many events that I have been talking to many lawyers, one of the most important things for this transformation to happen, whether it's implementation of technology, transformation of ways of working, is to have the leader lawyers, the legal director, the partners of a law firm convinced of that they also have to invest their time and energy in this happening, right? But, well, unfortunately, I think that we still don't see all the leaderships, let's say, prioritizing, because like Noé said, it is a thing of priority, right? Saying, many of them say, I don't have time. This is like the enemy of innovation. I don't have time, but it's how do I make the time for this to be a priority? So I would like you to share for how do you think a couple of things that you think that legal leaders need in order to buy into this transformation? Nico, you want to start?
Yes, of course, of course. I could say that securing leadership buy-in starts internally. Like for example, we first had to align as a legal team, clearly defining our pain points before even mentioning possible tools, as Noah was saying before. Only then could we approach the GC or senior leaders with a compelling, concrete case. And I think the second factor was speaking the language of business. Leaders don't want to hear about features like I can do this or that with this solution. They want efficiency, they want savings, they want impact, and benchmarking was powerful too, like showing what global peers were doing, created in a way an urgency and credibility. Of course, let's be candid, much of the anxiety comes from the GC. They are under constant pressure to do more with less, and this often translates into unrealistic expectations for instant results. And part of our job in legal operations is to manage that anxiety by setting clear expectations from day one. What can be achieved in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or what cannot. Like without this alignment, it's inevitable you feel frustrated. And of course, quick wins are valuable, but they are not enough. They need to be balanced with a longer term strategy, and they must be accompanied by a strong culture. Internal champions, for example, who spread the vision, and client involvement through feedback loops and satisfaction surveys. In Santander, those two elements, champions and structured feedback, help a lot to prioritize better and iterate. But ultimately, the shift is about mindset. Like digital literacy is no longer optional; it's a core legal skill. And part of that literacy is understanding that failure, as I was saying before, is not fatal. Embrace experimentation, accept imperfection, and learn quickly. Those are the only ways we will, I think, truly innovate.
Thank you, Nico. Raquel?
Well, yeah, I would like to add that in my experience, because in the project I was telling you about this success story, what really worked in that case was linking the project directly to business objectives, and measurable ROI was the most effective. Leaders, as Nico was saying, also leaders and C-level executives respond when they see how Legaltech will save time, reduce costs, improve compliance, or enrich client service. And that's why storytelling is also really a key point. Because in my case, what I did was sharing real examples and showing them what really worked in other companies, where they gained efficiency, where they mitigated risk, especially in our compliance program. We were focused on risk mitigation. And that's what makes the benefits more tangible and relatable. So yes, I need that leaders need to move away from this is how we've always done things mindset, and accept the need for experimentation, agility, and a willingness to learn, an open mind to learn, to acquire new knowledges, new digital tools, because this is the only way they are going to embrace the change we need in the legal sector. And also what worked for us in that experience was, the leadership involvement from the very beginning. As the first project wasn't, the result wasn't the expected, we changed this approach, and leadership was involved from the very beginning and through the entire process. And that's what really worked in my experience. Apart from a multidisciplinary team that was really key in that case, we had different profiles and expertise in our team, and this was really, really effective.
Thank you, Raquel. So we have that, we don't only have to speak the technology language, but also business language, right? And like you say, storytelling by telling the cases, the success stories, the cases, but also doing it with data of efficiency. Noé, do you have any other suggestions on how to get leadership to buy into this transformation?
I believe that was said. In order to show or to sell the project up there into the directors, it's important to have clear where you are and where you want to go, and with all the rest of the information that already has been said about how we're going to expedite our operation, how this will impact in the business. In my case, I need to accelerate closings. So, and how this tool and why you're asking this budget. I'm thinking just what Nicolás said in a moment, that here in Latam, we do more with less. And it's because we know how hard for us is to ask for budget. So probably that is the key. The key is to understand that we know how hard it is to get budget. So if we're going to get it, to be very clear of where we are, where we want to go, and how this will impact the company.
Thank you, Noé. So we've coming here to the end of our roundtable. I would like just to close with a quick fire question in 1 or 2 words. If each one of you can say what's one thing that Latin America needs to accelerate its legal tech evolution. Nico.
Sorry. I think collaboration and investment. I think those are the 2 big words for this. I think collaboration, because of what I said before, we need to bring all together and to have a shared view and share insights, more regional forums, more cross-border knowledge sharing, more collective projects. And investment, because without resources, innovation remains like a buzzword. Leaders in law firms and legal departments need to go beyond talking about innovation on panels or in reports. They need to assign budgets, maybe create legal operations team, measure impact, fewer LinkedIn posts from legal managers talking vaguely about innovation, and more concrete examples of what has been achieved, how it was done, and what others can learn from it.
Thank you, Nico. Raquel.
Yeah, I agree with Nico, and I would add leadership truly committed to innovation and driving change. Leaders often prioritize operational continuity, short-term results over long-term transformation. And this is what usually blocks the development of a culture that embraces innovation and continuous improvement. This is one of the changes I think we should see. And also the need to build greater awareness among leaders and C-level executives. This is what, in my opinion, could help accelerate and expand legal tech across the region.
Thank you, Raquel. Noé?
Super. Well, getting those responses together, I believe that to have the okay from the C-level and directors to have the idea of collaborations, I think to spread the rumor, make the people to participate in an early stage, and of course continue this post implementation, I think would be the final ingredients to have a very good innovation technology in-house inside companies. So that will be my addition.
Thank you, Noé. And well, thank you for our amazing 3 panelists of this table. And thank you also to the Global Legal Tech Hub for this space, because like Nico said, well, part of what we need is just more exposure, more exchange of ideas, more of these regional events. So also thank you for giving this regional, this regional event and encounters. It was an honor really for me to be able to share this panel with the 3 of you. And also thank you to everybody that's watching us, that's seeing us in this Latin American regional roundtable. And well, all the best of lucks for the GLAW Festival event. And thank you also for organizing all these amazing international events where we come together to collaborate, to exchange ideas that are so needed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.